So now that we have the foundation of the inventory set up, I would like to step back from it actually and revisit it a bit later on. What I want to do now is going to be much more fun. We are going to handle the transition between screens. We're going to have Link run from not just from the first screen to the shop, but back out from the shop to the first screen. And we're going to code out the screens that surround the first screen. So if you don't remember what they look like, I actually found an image that will show a few of the first screens. We see the screen to the left, to the top left, on top, etc. It's a bit cut off, however, I do remember what they look like, so you guys can just follow along and code with me. We're going to use this as a guide while we're coding out the surrounding screens. And to begin, I want to start with the screen to the left, and we're going to work clockwise around. So let's go back to our code. And we can close out a lot of these PNGs. We can close out pretty much everything but screen.js. And right before we begin to code out the other screens, let's link the shop back to the opening screen. And we can easily do that by adding a door down here. Let's start from the left and count to the right to determine what x-axis we should place the new doors at. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So door here and door here. You can set it equal to type door. And there will not be a tile. And we'll set the coefficient for where we want Link to pop up at. And I think it should be 1, 2, 3, 4 from the top. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the left. And I think we can duplicate these values. Oh. Okay, and now that that's done, we need to remember that we have to do two things on index.js. One is we need to go into the load level screen and handle this situation, because currently it will throw an error because it's going to see, or it's going to be looking for a tile that's a string, and it's going to have an object. We need to tell it that if the type of tile is not an object, then give it a dummy sprite component. We can do this by setting this to, we can do this by dropping it in here. Like that. The second thing we should do in index.js is handle opening screen being rendered when a transition tile is interacted with. So if you remember here, where is it? Here we have screen property of shop. We now need to have a screen property that has the values of opening screen on it. We can just copy this key value pair and paste it. Case opening screen, new screen object, opening screen. Break. Let me make sure I'm just exporting that. Yes, it is being exported. Okay. And let me double check our work. Load screen. Actually, you know what? Not equal to type object. I think actually, so what's going to happen here is it's going to set tile equal to dot tile, but we don't have a dot tile. We don't have a tile property in these objects, so this is going to be undefined. So even though we have an if statement here for this branch of logic, which it's kind of difficult to tell, so let me collapse some of these. For this branch of logic, we have it undefined. However, it will be set to undefined within this branch. We need to do another check. So it's not going to be an object. It actually will be undefined. I knew that felt wrong. So now let's check it and see what we get. Huh, okay. Let's run off the screen. Oh, and transition works. He's a little off to the right when he goes onto the opening screen. So maybe, I think he appears in this cell. So I think he needs to be up 1 and then to the left by 1. Let's just double check. Yeah, I think that's proper. I think that's correct. And so 1 to the left, then 1 up, left and up. But cool. I mean, we got our transition working, right? Maybe he could be 1 space down when he enters the shop as well. Oh, no, sorry. I went in the wrong direction. Instead of 9, it needs to be 11. There we go. And now that we got that working, we can begin creating the other screens that surround this area. I'm going to go to the picture that I pulled up, and we're going to use this as a point of comparison while we're making the screens. I'm going to start going clockwise, so I'm going to start at the very left. And we're going to focus on this screen, minus the enemies, of course. The enemies will come later. Before I begin naming this screen, I want to tell you that since we're only going to be doing a few screens, I'm not coding out the entirety of the Legend of Zelda game. I'm going to give these screens names relative to the position they are in clockwise. So I'm going to call this first one maybe screen A, screen B, then top screen C, corner right, top corner right, screen D, and then the final one, screen E. That's not a good naming convention if you're going to be creating screens for the whole entire game. So what I recommend is that you come up with your own system of naming screens if that's where you want to take this. For the overworld, something that you can do is you can get a map of the overworld, just Google it, and then name each overworld screen based on its X and Y coordinates on the map. So for example, this furthest left screen, if I was doing it by that method and I was only rendering those screens, I could call this maybe 0, 0. And then the one to the right of it would be 1, 0 because it's at the first place in the x-axis, but it's still at the very bottom of the y-axis. So for me, I'll just be calling this const screen A. And just like before, we'll set the asset path to this audio path. And also, let's remember to get rid of this audio. We want the shop and we want it to be silent. Sorry, that's the audio path. The asset path is assets overworld. And then we have our screen. And of course, we can just copy this to set it up. So now that we're creating this screen A, I'm going to change in the opening screen this undefined tile, and I'm going to set it to an object so it can act as a transition space. So we can do type door screen is equal to screen A, co-x. It'll probably be something like 17, since we're going to have link appear at the far right, since we're going to have link appear over here. And then for co-y, I'll just pick 7 for right now. We'll adjust that later. And let's get rid of this door. Cool. Now I want to test it. Let me export screen A. Let's go into our index.js and let's add this to the switch statement right here. Case screen A, and then new screen object, we can set it equal to screen A. Make sure you import it as well and add that nice break keyword. Cool. So let's test out how this works now. So when I run to the left, the link should go into a new space that looks, well, that will look quite similar. Okay, yes, see, he actually did appear in the new screen because I had removed the door. So that's working. But he's a little too far off. I think he needs to be at 16. He needs to be up 1 and to the left by 1. So we need to remove 1 from the co-y and also 1 from the co-x. Cool. Let's see if that's better now. Yep. Cool. And obviously nothing's going to happen here because this is the new screen. Very good. Okay. And I'm going to just load him in directly. I don't need to load in the shop immediately anymore. Nice. So we can kind of build this as we're looking at it. And I'm going to make this small. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to zoom out so I can see everything. And let's begin changing it. So we'll start from the top left again. I believe it's a little misleading right here. Now it looks kind of like it is 3 or 4 rocks long. It's not. It's actually only 2 or 3. So we'll start with the top left. We'll work left from right. Okay. And at the top right, there are 2 columns of solid rocks. And next to those columns, there's 2 open spaces. So let's make these 2 open spaces right here. Okay. And again, it's something similar where this is a string of 1. Oh. And not 2, 1. Very good. Go down to the next row. Again, this is 1. And actually, I think, now that I'm looking at this closer, I think this is only these 2 rows are on this screen, and these 2 rows are on the top screen. So really, this is an open space, because anything more than 2 rows is going to have the screen feeling small and claustrophobic. I'm pretty sure this is just all open space now. Up until those last 2 values. Get rid of these. Get rid of this. And 1. I believe that this is actually a corner piece. Oh no, it's the other edge. We'll come back later to make those rocks in the middle. Let's just get the perimeters set up. That looks good. Let me turn off the debug. Ooh. This is a 0. Then this is the inverse edge. Let's see, 5, 6. Yep, it's 6. The one below it's 6. And then these zeros are all string 5s. String 5, there we go. And these 5s are all 1s. Okay. And if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty, because we can't see this side of the screen, unfortunately. It's getting cut off a bit. I'm quite sure though that these are also open spaces right here. So we can make these 2 5s as well. There we go. Okay. Okay, cool. And now let's make those rocks render, or whatever those things are. So we can go into Overworld Collidables. I just want to open up the folder actually. And let's see. Okay, those would be 10. We can go to the screen. We can name this 10. All right. And we'll we'll see how the spacing works out. Let's see if that's good. They're about one space in width and height away from one another. Oop, not this one. The next one. Okay. And that's about 2 spaces apart. So I like how that looks. I think it looks pretty good. And finally, we will add the transition space to the screen to the right. Screen, opening screen. Type door. Coefficient, I think it'll be 2. And then co-y it's at the same y axis as this one. So I think it's just 6. Let's test it out. Oh. Sorry, I replaced the 0. It needs to go in the undefined spot. Okay, very good. Now let's program the next screen in the top right. We'll call this const screen B. Asset path, and we can pretty much just copy these values. It's pretty easy to do that. And actually, we'll even take the screen as well. You can copy paste it. There will be things that we change, obviously. I'm going to load up screen B in index.js so we can just start off there. And we can load it in right here. Make sure I can import it. Very good. Okay, let me zoom out, refresh. Okay, so let's just change one value to make sure that we are interacting with the correct screen. So I'll just change this to a 1. Okay, cool. We're interacting with the correct screen. Now let's do the bottom because we can see the bottom at the moment. And it actually looks pretty similar to what it is that we have here, except these two values will be 0 because we have a path coming from the bottom. 0, okay. The sides will be correct. I'll change this back to an undefined value at the moment. Oh. There we go. I'm doing this a little bit differently. I'm not going to do it like I did before, where I did left to right. I'm kind of just gonna use my. I'm just going to eyeball it really, and it's pretty similar. Although this space is a little too small, we need to make it bigger and kind of just move down that pattern. Okay. Okay. And you know what? I think it even needs to be bigger than that. I think this is 6. This is a space. Yeah, that looks better to me. So then we can move this up as well. Okay, we'll handle the top. Make this 3. And I know you guys can't see it, but I'm pretty sure it looks similar. There's definitely 2 spaces. So actually, no, this is 0. And then that's still 1. There we go. You know what, though? Looking at it, I think we need to actually make it a little bit lower. This is lower, but the other side is not. So this is 1. We'll just move it up very slightly. Okay, that looks much better. Remove that block because it's open like that. And now let's, I don't know, I think the brown rock is 11. Yeah, it's 11. Okay, that looks pretty good. We can set this to 0. Get rid of the 10s. And now we can just make rows of these rocks. I think that's pretty good. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that looks good. Cool. Oh, no, that is too far. It's not bad with the spacing. I think it's only about 1 tile wide, the space between the rocks. Like, that looks good to me. No, you know what? We want to go up a row. 11. 11. Oop. That looks good. That needs to be over 2 spaces. Cool. Now for screen, the transition between screen A and screen B, I'm going to want it on 4 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set these as objects. Can even copy it to screen A. So for the co-y, let's make it 2. And then for the x, let me see. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think it's 14. And then this one will be 15. Co-y. So let's just test this out real quick. Cool. We need to make the transition going up as well. So copy that. And now we're going to go back to screen A. Go back to screen A. And from the 4th, go to the 4th and the 5th from the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 3, 4. Place those with the objects. And don't make it screen A, but make it screen B. For the co-X, it's the same. But for co-Y, I think it'll be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think it'll be 12. Undefined of screen. Oh, you know what? We need to go to index. We have not added that to the load screen. We need to add it to that switch case. Here we go. Case screen B is equal to new screen object screen B. Break. Make sure you import screen B as well. Okay, let's try it now. Okay. Oh. Ooh. Getting a little bit of a glitch because screen A is not sending the player to the proper spot, so it's acting a little funky. Screen A, make it, I think the X needs to be 1 over. Let's try that again now. From screen B, we go to screen A. Oh. Let me just load in screen A from the start. Come on, log that out. Oh, the Y is too far. So what's happening is we're actually entering screen B, but we must be we're being placed upon the transition space here, and that's automatically sending us right back. So it needs to be less of a Y value. It needs to be maybe 1 up. Yeah, that works better. But now, let's see, I messed up the screen B. Coefficient, no, 12. Maybe this is 13. Let's see. If you guys got this, you can just go right ahead. I just need to iron out the bugs. Okay, now it's too far. There we go. Okay. Huh. Wait. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now it's working properly. Cool. Now let us do this screen right here. And we will call this screen C, const screen C. And again, we can kind of just follow this setup. I'll change one value in here just to make sure we are working with the correct screen. Remember to export screen C or whatever it is you're going to name it. And then we can go here and we will do case screen C. We'll set all this up. New screen object is equal to screen C. Import it. Yeah, by the way, if you're my text editor is helping me import it, I literally just press enter and it auto-fills. Make sure you're importing it up here. That's essentially what my text editor is doing for me. It's just helping me fill in that code very quickly. So if you're confused and your text editor is not doing the same thing, I just want to let you know that's what's happening. But anyway, so screen C should be able to load properly. And now let me copy this And I will set screen C. Okay, cool. That's our screen C because I just changed one tile. We can go to screen C now and let us make it how it looks here. And it looks very different. So I'm going to first change this back. And I want to get rid of all of the rocks because we're not using any of these and it's a completely different pattern in the middle. So let me just set these all to 0. So we have a nice clean board. And I will plug up these two 0 values with 1 at the moment. We'll come back to that. What I want to do now, what I think I'm going to do is I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep this opening. This opening looks pretty good. 1, 2, 3. It may be one tile too tall, but I'll fix that in a second. Right now, I'm going to just make the left opening of the screen 3 tiles tall, then to match, because they look like they're the same height to me. So I think this will be, let's see, we can go through. I don't have a 7. No. There we go, 2. I had to cycle through all of them to remember which one it was specifically. And we can set this to 1. So 1, 2, 3. So we'll make this a 4. Make this a 4. This is a 1. I like how that looks. And now we'll go to the right and take care of the right as well. Set this to 6. Cool, I think that looks pretty good. And you can see that there's little rivets in the top, although it gets cut off. And it just sticks out only a little bit. So I think what it is a 3 here maybe, or no, a 2, and then a 3 right here, or maybe it's one more down, 3, 2, 0. Okay, now let's make the boulders in the screen, and I think it might be, no, it's 10. Oh, now we need to go one row down, 10. 10. Then we can put it right here. 10. Put it over to the right by 1 tile. Cool. And then we will code out that opening that's on the bottom. And it looks like it's in the middle of the screen, just about slightly to the right of the second column of rocks. Let's get a feel for where we are on the screen. And I think that's pretty good. Oop, not that spot. The following 2 spaces. There's a little bump in the rocks, so let me change this to the values that we want, which would be 6. Oh, no, that's too far. That looks good. And then that looks good. Let's change those 5s. Let's change the 5s to 1s. Oh. Or maybe not all of them. Maybe these two 5s need to be 1s. And then and this 5 I think should probably be a 4 instead. What looks better? No, I think it's a 4. Because now it looks like it's sloping down. This should be 1, 1. And cool, I think that looks pretty good. Let's add, or let's change this to opening screen. Opening screen. And I know that's not the proper co-x, co-y, but oh, that did not work. I think it's probably because, oh, interesting. Because I spelled opening wrong. Opening screen. Okay, so we still have an issue. The issue is the door is actually too far to the right. And if you look, we get stuck inside the collidable. So it looks like we're definitely too far to the right. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is 8, and then this should be 9. I'll have to fix where that is, but okay. Let me move this over. So I'm gonna just cut it. I'm gonna add 2 zeros, or two undefines rather, because that's what I was taking up, and then I'm gonna move it over by few. And let's see. Okay, we still need to move it over by, let me see, 1, 2. So delete 2, add 2. Ooh. Okay, still need to move it over by 1, so delete 1 more. Add it to the right of the doors. Ooh. Save that. Cool. So that works. That works too. I think even maybe just make the coefficient 1y. Yeah, there we go. I like how that looks. Cool. Oh. And let's complete the opening screen by adding the equivalent door on the top of the opening screen to make it go to screen C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is 9. And we'll make this go to screen C. And the placement we will put it at is, here we can do co-x, co-y. I don't know if that's exactly correct, but no, it's too far down. I think by about 4. Let's try that again. Now it needs to be up by 1. move this to from 8 to 9 because it's on the right side. And let's see. Yeah, I think that looks good. Ooh. I like it. Cool, so we got 2 more screens to go. And it will be this screen over here on the top right corner. And I'm going to do this slightly differently than I did last time. I'm going to first, well, I will define screen D. And I'll change just one thing to make it obvious that we're on it. But I'm going to set up the transitions first. So it will be this undefined, this undefined, this undefined. And we're going to set it to screen D. And the X coefficient is going to be like 1, I guess. Oh, what just happened here? It's going to be to 1. And we could set the Y to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6, 6, 7, 8. Let's export screen D. Then we'll add it to that switch statement. Screen case screen D is equal to new screen object screen D break. And let's see if it works. Uncall. Oh, screen D is not defined. There we go. That time my text editor did not help me. Okay, so it worked. Do you see that boulder, that weird boulder that's in the middle of the screen? Let's look at this map. And I think the opening is pretty similar. I think it's a similar height, if not the same exact height. Let's load up this level directly. I mean, we can continually run over to it. And maybe I should fix this really quick. Let's make it 5, 6, 7. Let's try that again. Okay. Screen D. And now let's set up this screen. Okay. So we should make this 10. Or no, sorry, it's 20. So I set this to be 20, the bushes. Make this open. These are bushes. Bushes. And we'll leave 2 spaces for a path, make it 2 spaces wide. And set this to 0, 20. Should look like that. And there's kind of like an H in the middle of the screen that we want to create with the bushes. So let me just clear this out right here. No, actually, that could be in the middle. Okay. And follow along with me if you don't remember exactly how it's set up. So there's like an H right there. Oh. And above it, there is a 20, and below it, and we will be getting rid of this. We need to add a bush above. I don't think that's the right spot. I think it's more over to the right. There we go. We should get rid of the rocks now. And follow along with me if you don't know what it looks like. So this will be open space. Or actually, no, this will be the rocks. 20. Sorry, this will be the bushes, I mean. And then the next space will be, the next tile will be open space. And let's get rid of this one ugly rock that's just in the middle doing nothing. And then on the top, it is another bush like that. It kind of mirrors the bottom. And then after that, it will be 2 spaces for Link to walk down. Followed by, again, another column of bushes. Followed by open space. Followed by another column of bushes. And then these last 2 columns, I believe, are open space and then a bush wall. Like that. And you know what? This H needs to be moved over to the left by 1 because it's blocking off the right side of the screen. Now I can see that clearly. So let's just add a 0 for every row. That looks better. 0 here. Cool. And that looks pretty good. We do need to change the rocks to bushes. The pattern is different and it's obviously not the same tile. So first, let's just remove all of the 10s. Cool. Then we can start with the leftmost one. Actually, that's too high. It needs to be down one row. I think that's a good placement for it. No, this needs to be spaced out. One more to the right. Okay. There we go. And that looks pretty good. Nice. And yeah, that looks pretty good to the original. Oh. So, okay. So we have this level set up, this screen. And let's create the transition spaces. So we'll start with the transition space that goes to screen C. So there will be 3 transition spaces right here. 3 objects. We can just copy and paste this basic information. And it will be C, screen C. The X coefficient will be, it's not the same, obviously. We'll just start at 11. Or actually, yeah, we can start at 11. And then for the co-Y, it'll be the same as up here for screen C. So 5, 6, 7. So let's make this 5, 6, 7. And for the coefficient X, let's try, I thought 11 would be okay. Let's actually do 17 though. Let's see how this works now. Oh, we need to do 1 over. Let's see again. That looks pretty good. And then for these openings, we need to do each opening one at a time. So let's start at the furthest left one. So we can begin. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So count from the left over to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. So we will just put an object here. Let's just copy this because it's easy. We can paste it in here. And the coefficient X is 5. And the coefficient Y can be, we'll just set it to 2 at first. And I know we don't have a screen E yet, but let's just write in screen E. And I'm going to actually get rid of these and replace them with undefined for the moment. Okay. And then let us copy this. And we'll just put it into the spaces that it should be in. It gets a little messy because there's so many doors, but try to follow along. And let's see. And I think this is the last one. Okay. So we're going to test that in a second. Let's make the other door, or let's make the other screen rather. So we can test this. So const screen E is equal to object. And we can copy the asset path and the audio path. And then we'll even copy this screen. And we can just change one thing. We'll change this to, we'll just make this a 1. Why not? And then we'll export this screen E. And we will make sure in the index.js in that switch statement that it is being found. Case screen E, new screen object equals screen E. Okay. So let's see. Okay, cool. So that's working. Let's see where they come up. Okay, he's one too far down and he should be one over to the left. So it's actually like that. Okay, let's try this again. We'll start from here. Oh. Let's see. Oop, I changed the wrong one by accident. I changed screen E. I should have changed screen D. There we go. Yep. That's more or less where he should be. Cool. And then let's do that for each one of the doors that we do have. So this is actually coefficient 6, y1, coefficient 8, y1, coefficient 9. Where did it go? Coefficient y, 1. Then this skips 1. Skips by 2 to 11. 13. 15. Cool. So let's see. We can test a few of these out. Okay. Oop. Let's just go to the edge. Cool, that works. Very good. And now let's set up screen E, but I'll just make us load directly into screen E. So comment this out. Screen E. Save it. Cool. Now if we look in the bottom right hand corner, screen E is a little bit different. It has 2 rows of bushes that line the bottom. So why don't we do these 2 first, because those are the easiest rows to see. Let's replace these doors with the undefined constant. We could leave them in because the player should not really have the ability to get to them, but to just clean it up and make sure there could be no possible bugs, we can replace those values. Okay. So bush is 20, so let's just replace everything in the bottom 2 rows with 20. And turning these zeros into 20s. Almost done with these bottom 2 rows. Cool. And actually, it doesn't look like the bushes go all the way to the wall, so maybe let's just replace this with 1. Yeah, that looks better. And I know that this is actually just open space up here. Cool. There's one bush that's just sticking out. I can just set this to 0. Oh, no, not that one. I was talking about this one. There we go. And I'm going to make that the 3 columns of bushes look better. Oh, no, not there. Right now, I'm going to just set this to 0 or to the undefined value so I can easily line up what each value should be. Okay. Now it's a little bit easier to tell. There we go. Very nice. This one should be a 0. And this should be 0 as well. Let's move the bush up. Oh, I did something did not like, evidently. Ah, yes, there we go. And this should be a 0. This will be a 0, and I'm going to just move it over by 1. Cool. Or actually, move it over by 2. Nice. I think that matches the photo pretty well. In the path to the left, let's make it go back to the opening screen. So now I can just copy an object. And I'll paste it in here. But not that far. Oop. I need to paste it in the undefined area. And make it go back to opening screen, coefficient X. I don't know, we can make it 16 to start. And for the Y, I'm not sure exactly where, but I'm just going to guess and do that. Okay. So let's see if this works. Okay. Looks like it's a little too far down. Okay. Cool. And let's make it connect back to the screen E. So I'll go back to opening screen all the way up at the top. And let's set this value to screen E. And it can be coefficient 1. Set it to the same Y. Yep, cool. Awesome. Looks good. Okay, and I think we have all the screens created, at least all the screens that I want to make for this video. Let's check now to make sure that all the screens are connecting to one another. I see now already that we have not yet connected screen E back to screen D. So let's do that now. And I'll just copy this. And right here, we'll place it on the 5th. And we can do, we'll start with 12. Keep the same coefficient of X. Let me check this out. Ah, okay. And we need to make it go to screen D though, of course. Oh, screen D. And also, let me turn off is debug. It's a little bit distracting. I set it to true to start. Let's just set it to false to keep it off. There we go. Okay. And let's have this work. Let's see. Ah, okay. So I need to set it one spot higher on the y-axis. Okay. And let's see. Cool, that works. Very nice. Now let's do the other spots. And we'll just move this over by 6. Now this will be 8. 9. 11. 13. 15. Okay. 15 right here. Great. Now let's see for screen D. Do we have everything? Every door? So on screen D, obviously if we were making the entire game, we would have another screen above screen D. But we're not going that far with this, so we're going to keep it like how it is now. Let's go to screen C, and let's check over here. Oh, see, we did not make this. Although I knew we had not completed every door. So why don't we just do this? We will copy this right here. Paste it in here. Change it from screen D to screen D to screen C. And why don't we just load it up to start? Make sure you save your file. Oh. And what's happening here? Oh, sorry. I need to set it to screen B. Of course, because this current screen is screen C, right? There we go. Okay. Obviously, we need to change the X coefficient as well. We could make it, let's see. We could make it 16, should be correct. We also need to do the door back. And let's get this rolling. Cool. Now let's do the door back. We can copy this. Paste it here. Although, let's see. Oh, 7. Link it back to C. I'll make the top 2 go to coefficient Y. There we go. Let's try it again. Cannot read undefined reading screen. Let's see. Oh, too many E's in screen. This also, guys, is what is good about making things constants, because you don't make these typos. Oh, there. All right, let me see what happened here. I made the cox. I need to change the cox to 1. There we go. That should be better. Cool. Okay. Let's see, we have screen B set up, and then the doors to the opening screen.